of whey protein. Fuel the muscle and starve the fat cells. When alone is 130. Alright, welcome back to the Body Mechanic Health and Wellness Podcast, America's Truth Detector, where if you can get through my rants and stuttering, you can learn the truth about your health and turn your body into a powerhouse. And I can show you how to heal from everything. Homeostasis heals everything. Out with the bad, in with the good. No matter what condition, anything and everything under the sun. Email to get that homeostasis is cklein37 at netzero.com. CKLEIN 37 at netzero.com. Put podcast in the title and I will show you how to get homeostasis and heal your health problems. Alright, today I promised to talk about, actually I don't know if I even promised about today's subject, but I'm going to be talking about chronic pain and digestive problems, something I've suffered with my entire life and which I was able to get over. It pops up, you got to be aggressive about it, but you can recover from it if you're careful and if you're willing to do the work. But yeah, I'll give you my background with chronic pain and digestive problems. My story starts when I was about in second grade. I started to get, let me back up. I was born a healthy kid. I was a healthy and vibrant, big, full kid until about second grade when I think it was the vaccines that messed up my brain, and I started to get extreme in digestive problems, and I started to lose weight slowly and started to get real thin. And I was real quiet as a kid. I'm convinced I have an autistic mind. And what was going on, the story actually starts with the muscle development of the two sides of my body. So that was when I started to get these digestive problems, I think because of the vaccines. What I think they did to my brain was this is the theory. The theory goes that the vaccines with the thimerosal can mess up each hemisphere or one hemisphere of your brain, and that's where the mental imbalances come from. And in my case, the muscle development suffered. The right side of my body, the muscles on the right side of my body were largely the large slow twitch muscles, and I developed more smaller fast twitch muscles on the left side of my body, and even some of the bones are different sizes on each side of my body. My body wasn't symmetrical, okay, starting what I think was in the second grade with these vaccines. So that was the first problem. I had muscle imbalances just from muscle development, just growing on each side of my spine, each side of my body. And on top of that, I was a very athletic kid. I participated in a lot of athletics, not too many organized sports. I played organized baseball. That was it. And one season of organized bowling. A lot of backyard ball. That's where most of my athletics was. I did a lot of manual labor. I was in the workforce starting in 7th grade, shoveling snow. And I'm sure you can imagine the grueling effects of that. And so by the time I was 14, my neck pain kicked in. I started to get pretty bad recurring neck pain. It might have came and went, but from there it was I busted my back when I was about 15 or 16, lifting a heavy person I never should have done. But it was just kind of a tweak, and it wasn't like excruciating pain. It was just kind of there. And I think I busted a disc or something. But no, the right side of my body, the muscles on the right side of my body were definitely stronger than the left side. So the muscles on my low back were doing most of the work. And so it caused an imbalance and put too much stress on a disc or whatever. So that was sitting there brewing. And so by the time I was a senior in college, the neck pain started to get excruciating. Actually, it started when I was a freshman. I took 2 years in college. First year I was a freshman. Second year I was a senior. So as a freshman, the neck pain got excruciating, and then because I started this was when I started to do. I actually played a league basketball, just a few games, and I started to run a lot and work out, doing heavy lifting, weightlifting, heavy weightlifting. I had never done that before. So in college, I started to get into heavy weightlifting, and the low back pain started to kick in and get worse, I should say. And then the neck pain got even more excruciating. It was more permanent. And so by the time I graduated college, and I started working in a appliance warehouse. That's when the low back pain got more permanent and excruciating, and it was bad. So I'm dealing with this neck pain and back pain going into my career in accounting by the time I was 20. And so I was only working in that warehouse for a couple of months, but it was enough to really turn me into what I felt like. I felt like a senior citizen by this point. And I had just turned 20 years old by the end of that stint at the appliance warehouse. So I'm 20 going into my accounting career, having to sit at a desk for 8 hours a day. As I'm sure you can imagine what happened after that, sitting in an uncomfortable office chair all day, busting my posture even further. That's when the back pain, actually it turned into sciatica, so the back pain continued, and sciatica kicked in when I was 20, working in these office chairs. And I had also got the boneheaded idea to start trying to improve the flexibility in my legs. I started doing splits. That's, I think, what started the sciatica. I started doing splits. Didn't work. Backfired. And I really messed up my hip by this point. Never tried to do splits. I have a relative who was a cheerleader. Tried to do splits as a cheerleader. Messed up her hip. As a teenager, actually maybe an adolescent, she really messed up her hip and started to get like hip pain, hip problems. And so yeah, you gotta be careful with your legs and back muscles. And that's where I'm going with all this pressure that I was putting on my legs and back muscles. I didn't know what this was going on. This was the reason, but it was contributing to hip misalignment around my bones. I didn't learn all this until I was about 20, going on 21, when I started to go to a chiropractor, and he started to manipulate my bones, pushing them into their alignment physically. He never told me about balancing out muscles. He was just fixing the alignments of the bones, taking pressures off nerves by doing adjustments and stuff, cracking the bones, putting oxygen or air pockets back into the bones or whatever, to take the pressure off the nerves running through them and the connective tissue. It worked, but real quickly, maybe the next day, I was back into the pain because the muscle imbalances were not getting addressed. So one day, I was doing my regular exercise, still lifting heavy weights, mind you, further pushing my bones out of their alignment, doing squats and crap with 100-pound barbell on my shoulders. So I was getting ripped and jacked, but I was also pushing my bones out of their alignment really badly. The sciatica was excruciating. Like, it was bad. Like, I felt like I had no activity in my right calf muscle by the time I was 21. But like I said, I did this one particular exercise one day when I was late 20s, early 21, late 20, early 21 age. And my back cracked. The low back where it was excruciating, it cracked. The exercise I did was called the Russian plate twist is what it's called, where you set on a weight bench that's in the crunch position, the position you put it in to do crunches, right? I had an adjustable weight bench, and I put it in the ab crunch condition. I held a weight plate in my hands and just twisted the plate to one side of my body. I did that, and my back cracked immediately, and my back pain went away, never to come back. The back pain in my low back. And that was basically a chiropractic adjustment. So I'm like, okay, obviously muscle strength is playing a part in the alignment of my bones. So that's where the story started. That was the beginning of fixing up. I applied that principle to any other condition that I ran into. During that summer I was working at the appliance warehouse, I missed a step coming out of my sister's house one day and jacked up my knee, hyperextended my knee. And my knee got loose. Not painful, but loose for like 6 months. So I took this principle I had just discovered with my back, the balancing your muscle imbalances. Actually, no, I'm sorry. This was the chiropractic adjustment. It later translated into muscle balances, but around the hip, your hip alignment actually does control a lot of your knee. But at this point, all I did was crack my knee. I twisted it one day and it cracked, and that was basically a chiropractic adjustment. The looseness in my knee went away instantly. And over the ensuing years, anytime I came across anyone with pain in the knee, a knee problem, I told them about the chiropractic adjustment. Most of the time they would do it, the knee problem would go away. They would do it successfully. It's a really easy trick, really simple trick I teach in my book, how I cured chronic pain and digestive problems. So I applied the chiropractic adjustment to my knee, but as far as the muscle imbalances, I applied that to my wrist pain I was starting to have because after working in the appliance warehouse hauling heavy appliances, my wrist started to hurt, and so I strengthened my forearm and I strengthened some muscles along my forearm that I was pulling against. I was strengthening some muscles in my forearm, so I started hauling the appliances, so I started strengthening muscles on the opposite side of the forearm to pull my hand in the opposite direction than I was holding appliances. It worked. Wrist pain went away, never to come back. I had also started to get tennis elbow. Just all these muscle imbalances from largely from the heavy weightlifting I was doing, just jacking my body. I gained 20 pounds of muscle because I was a beanpole growing up, even graduating college. Never gained weight, lost weight in college. But when I graduated and started really lifting weights, heavy weights, that's when I packed on the muscle. Started taking supplements, weight gainers and stuff, and packed on 20 pounds of muscle. I looked like a scaled down version of Arnold Schwarzenegger. I was that shredded. Unfortunately, I don't have any pictures anymore. So what few pictures I took got lost. You ask my brothers, I was a jacked up little Arnold Schwarzenegger. Man, I mean, if you knew me, I got some serious defined muscles. Anyways, so that's it in a nutshell. That's how I developed my muscle problems and learned how to fix them. And I wrote a book about it and started teaching everyone that I came across about how to fix their chronic pain. It's usually muscle imbalances. Sometimes people can get away with just changing their diet, getting healthy, basically. Usually, people can overcome chronic pain because their connective tissue is just weak because they're super unhealthy or whatever. And you can get away with it sometimes. You can just get healthy. Sometimes if they're extreme, like in my case, it takes both. It takes muscle therapy and getting healthy and inducing strength at the cellular connective tissue level. And so there's a little caveat when I say in with the good, out with the bad in this case. The caveat being out with the bad in this case is muscle imbalances. You're going to have to work on therapy. Maybe ballpark figure half the people who have bad chronic pain, they might have to do some therapy. I detail exactly what needs to be done in my book, How I Cured Chronic Pain and Digestive Problem. You get all my books if you shoot me an email to to learn about homeostasis and get the homeostasis that cures everything. Anyways, so yeah, that's a little caveat. You got to fix your posture. In most cases, when you're dealing with like back pain and low back pain, even mid back pain, that was another thing I got briefly, was pain in the middle of my back. And knee pain, like I said, sometimes I would get knee pain and cracking my knee wouldn't do it. It got the muscle imbalances got so bad around my hip that it wasn't until I learned all about restoring your hip alignment that the knee problems went away for good. And like I said, you gotta stay at it if it's extreme enough. And because 20 years, I put 20 years of pressure on my hip and back. And if you're doing that, if you're heavily athletic or working in manual labor a lot as a kid, this is your new life. You're gonna have to do therapy a lot regularly to offset the strength, the muscle imbalances you put around your legs and back muscles. See, what you got going on is you got your leg muscles and your back muscles are all jacked up and they're pulling against your core muscles that you rarely, if ever, work. So that's how your hip, that's how you maintain your posture, is by maintaining your core muscle structure. But in my case, I yanked on it and doing those stupid splits and heavy weightlifting, and sometimes an accident will push you over the edge. Sometimes you may not have any chronic pain until an accident, and it can turn into extreme chronic pain instantly because of this accident. Well, what happened was your muscle imbalances prepared you for an accident, that your muscles and bones were prepped for years. Your lifestyle prepared you, put a lot of stress on your bones, but it wasn't until this accident that they actually popped out of alignment. Just by that quick pressure, quick added pressure. And so you might have been in an accident and no one can fix your chronic pain. I can. I show you exactly how to take all the pressure off your bones through muscle therapy. I tell you exactly how to fix the muscles, how to restore your posture. You can get the posture you had as a toddler. You can get it back. You have to do it. There's only one way to do it. You have to do it the right way. Therapists, they don't know how to do it. Your average therapist, they'll just tell you to walk a certain way or something, and it's bunk. It's not going to help. They can't do it. Even oh my gosh, every other time I tell people about this, my hip, they tell me, why don't you just get some exercise ball or something you sit on to supposedly help your hip. No, that doesn't do it, folks. That's going to push your hip further out of alignment. And sitting on these exercise balls, these big balls or whatever to do core exercises. Nope. You got these ab wheels and stuff, these stupid gadgets that people use to do crunches. Crunches are backfiring, folks. You avoid crunches like the plague. You will not strengthen your core. You will not restore your posture and take the pressure off of your nerves and bones doing crunches. That is how I got into trouble. And you're gonna make your posture worse doing crunches. You have to do a particular set of exercises, isolate some muscles to strengthen your core and take the pressure off your spine, off your hip. Yeah, and pull back against your leg muscles and your back muscles. You got to do things like sleep on your back all night. You can't sleep on your side or on your stomach, or you'll never heal. You'll never restore this muscle balance. Anyways, I'm going on rants and getting lost as usual. That's basically how you're going to fix your chronic pain in probably half the cases. And it's, for a lot of them, it's going to involve getting healthy too, eating healthy, I should say. So that's the caveat. Muscle therapy in this particular case involving chronic pain and digestive problems. When I fixed these muscle imbalances. I haven't gotten any more digestive problems. It kind of went away when I grew into an adolescent. I said I got digestive problems in second grade. They didn't persist outside of elementary school. When the testosterone started to kick in, I think that's when it kind of restored itself, fixed the problem for temporarily, took enough pressure off my bones, strengthened myself at the cellular level because my testosterone kicked in, and it allowed me to take the pressure off the digestive system. I didn't struggle with chronic digestive problems as an adolescent through my adolescency. It only came back when I was like maybe 21, and then I fixed my posture, and now it just comes and goes ever so slightly. I just got to keep my posture going. I have to maintain my posture. So anyway, regarding the homeostasis, that's the caveat in this case. Muscle imbalances. It's not just, getting out chemicals or detoxing from pathogens or whatever. Although sometimes that can play a role, and even that can even degrade your connective tissue. Toxins, neurotoxins like fluoride, which I'm about to expound on in the news section of today's podcast. I'm going to expound on a source of fluoride. Get ready for this. So yeah, you do have to get chemicals and junk out, but that's only part of the story in this particular subject, chronic pain and digestive problems. Anyways, I'm going to get into the news now. Tell you what, let me back up. There was one particular example I did want to get into about someone who, and this is a great example of what I'm trying to get at. This particular case of this elderly woman I went to church with kind of encapsulates what I'm trying to talk about with homeostasis, out with the bad, in with the good. So a couple years ago, I went to church with an elderly woman, and one day she started to get hip problems, and she told me about it. And she could get around fine, and then she didn't have hip problems until maybe a month after going to this church. She told me about it, and she started to have difficulty walking. And I told her, "Hey, why don't you read my book on diet and nutrition, the Diet and Nutrition Super Manual?" And she read it, and what she concluded, the takeaway she got from it was stop eating chicken, because I harp on chicken and livestock so much. So she did that. She quit eating chicken. No exaggeration. Within 2 or 3 days of not eating chicken, maybe she just ate a lot of chicken, I don't know. But when she quit doing it for a few days, her hip pain went away. She was able to walk normal again. No pain within just a few days. Her body, just with that particular tweak, her body went from weak to strong just by balancing her hormone levels and not ingesting the inflammation and fatty acid. I mentioned hormones. One thing that this stupid chicken is doing, it's like eating concentrated soy. Because what soy does is it messes up your hormones. It's going to make you, what soy does is it boosts estrogen. And when you boost estrogen, that can cause weight gain. And it's going to make you weak. You have to maintain a certain testosterone to estrogen balance to maintain strength at the cellular level. And so this poor woman, and most chicken eaters, are pumping out estrogen. They're basically eating concentrated estrogen when you eat chicken, because the chickens are fed soy. That soy and junk builds up in their system, and then by the time it reaches your dinner plate, you're eating like concentrated soy. It's bad stuff, I'm telling you, folks. It's fake food. People tell you to just eat grilled chicken salad to get healthy. No, absolutely not. That's why almost no chicken eater I've ever seen in my life that I've known personally, no one who eats grilled chicken salad ever loses weight. They actually gain weight. They continue to get thicker. Every time. You can't force feed animals a diet they are not created for and call that food. That is not real food. That is a warped, twisted food. Anyways, and it's going to cause problems physically. It's going to help your muscle imbalances and weaken your connective tissue. And it's going to prepare you for the muscle imbalances and prepare you for chronic pain and digestive problems. And in most cases, I'd say at least 90% of the time, that's your problem, is muscle imbalances caused by those particular contributors, lifestyle and diet and nutrition, or lack thereof. Garbage diet, I should say. Anyways, I'm running out of time. I'm going to get into the news. I'm going to read this one particular story that is actually loosely related to this subject. It's a reason that people get unhealthy. This crap that we're ingesting in these prescription drugs, I'm about to show you where a lot of them are sourced from. It's going to make you sick. And I started to allude to it before with the fluoride. There's prescription drugs. They actually dump fluoride in the prescription drugs. I don't know why. I don't care why. It doesn't matter. You should never ingest fluoride. When they tell you fluoride is safe, it is a total lie. They put it in the tap water. They put it in prescription drugs. It's not healthy for your teeth, number one. It causes fluorosis, white spots on your teeth. It's total lies. I could go into a whole diatribe, a whole segment on fluoride. You're not supposed to ingest it, and it's bad enough you're putting it on your teeth maybe and spitting it out. But they're putting it in prescription drugs too, and that's why people get unhealthy and get headaches. I know one girl I dated a few years ago, she was she started to get chronic headaches. I'm like, massive head migraines. I asked her one day, I'm like, are you taking prescription drugs? That was like the first question. That was my knee-jerk reaction. Are you on prescription drugs? She's like, yeah, I'm taking birth control. I'm like, here's your problem. You gotta stop taking the birth control. Get off prescription drugs. Your headaches will go away. And there's more to it than just putting pressure on connective tissue, but that's where it starts. In a lot of cases, you take that pressure off your connective tissue from the stupid fluoride in the prescription drugs, and something else I'm about to go into in this news article. And you'll take enough pressure off to where you can get rid of your headaches. You could also help it by balancing some muscle imbalances. That's another way to do it, to get the same result. You can do both. Ideally, you need to do both. You need to balance the muscles in your neck and strengthen your body, strengthen your connective tissue, so that every little thing, every little tweak, every little position you hold your head in doesn't ultimately cause a headache. But now I'm going to read this article and finish up here. And it's going to also explain why people are having such massive health problems. This is an article from CNN, right? It's actually not news, it's old. I call it old because it's 4 years old. November 17th, 2020 was when this was published by CNN. It's an article by Samantha Bresnahan called "Snake Venom is a Boon in Search for Life-Saving Drugs." Unbelievable. They are actually they're using, not spiking, but using snake venom for prescription drugs. Basing prescription drugs on snake venom. Now, who in their right mind would even think to do such a thing is a whole different story. Mind you, this is an establishment. People who have serpents in their logo, okay? The World Health Organization has a serpent in their logo. The medical, whatever it is, American Medical Association, MA or AMA, whatever, they got a serpent in their logo. It's like, come on, folks, you're really trusting these people with their health when they got serpents in their logos? Why? Anyways, I'm just going to shut up and read now. Quote, over the summer, Chicago-based cardiologist Dr. Sandeep Nathan received a phone call that a patient was in trouble. Every minute that went by put the patient more at risk. In his mid-30s, he was suffering from a massive heart attack with excessive blood clotting in the vessels around his heart. He had also tested positive for COVID-19. And when you understand the origins of COVID-19, you understand why he's having blood clotting problems and a heart attack. Anyways, it goes on. Several studies have shown that coronavirus impacts more than just the lungs and respiratory system, including the heart. Anyways, quote, there is an acute inflammatory response, increased blood clotting, and cardiac involvement. Cardiologist Dr. Nika Goldberg, medical director of New York University's Women's Heart Program, previously told CNN. Goldberg is a senior advisor for women's health strategy at NYU Langone Health. Before beginning a procedure to clear the vessels and put in stents, Nathan and his team administered blood thinners, including integralin, to break up the clots. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration first approved integralin in 1998, and medical professionals commonly prescribe it to heart attack patients. But what many people don't realize is the drug was originally derived from a protein found in the venom of the pygmy rattlesnake. Several 100,000 heart attacks occur in the United States every year, and a significant proportion of those heart attacks are treated with agents, which, unbeknownst to both the physician and patient, are actually derived from animal venom, said Nathan, director of the University of Chicago Medicine's Coronary Care Unit and co-director of its cardiac catheterization lab. There's a bit of a misconception that drug development, particularly with antiplatelets or anticoagulants, is now passé, that we've discovered everything that we need to know, he added. In my opinion, nothing could be further from the truth. Oh yes, you're right, Dr. Nathan, or whatever your name is. Nothing could be further from the truth. How right you are. Y'all are ignorant and manipulating. You are not solving actual problems. You are manipulating symptoms and misdirecting people instead of getting them actually healthy like they need to be, instead of getting them to homeostasis. Anyways, next section. Quote, creating designer toxins. Roughly a decade ago, Nathan received a phone call from biomedical scientist Zoltan Takics, who expressed they had a, quote, mutual interest. Quote, we were approaching venom-derived compounds from two very different vantage points, Nathan remembered Takics telling him. Quote, he wanted to discuss possibilities for academic collaboration and education, unquote. While Nathan administers the venom-derived drugs to his patients, Takics is on the other end of the process, finding the original sources in the field, the venomous creatures themselves. I'm sick just telling you about this, by the way. This is so disgusting. Quote, what makes these creatures like a gold mine for medicine is actually the deadliness, unquote. Takics recently told CNN's Dr. Sanjay Gupta. Toxins, he added, have been, quote, tweaked by nature to take a life, quote, unquote, with utmost efficiency. Quote, they aim for critical parts of the body, like the nervous function or the blood circulation. Those are the symptoms which you have to take under control in order to treat many different types of diseases, unquote. Manipulation. While the pandemic has slowed his usually hectic travel schedule, Takics said he has visited more than 190 countries in his lifetime so far. His work continues through his partners in the field and in the lab. He's the co-inventor of the Designer Toxins drug discovery platform. That's in caps, that's the name, Designer Toxins platform, and founder of Toxin Tech, a biotech startup that houses a library of, quote, designer toxins, unquote, available to researchers studying drug development. So they make a library of snake venom extracts. Quote, we are actually not only creating toxin libraries, we're doing it with a twist, Takics explained. If we have a target for which there is not a good molecule which blocks that target, for example, then we look to nature. what kind of toxins around the world exist with which target that particular molecule, unquote. In the lab, Taxic chops up the toxins into bits and pieces with genetic engineering and rearranges the parts in every possible combination to create mosaic toxins. These variants still contain the evolutionary wisdom, he said, but slightly in biological, but differ slightly in biological activity. Then you screen this huge library to see which is the best match against the target of interest, he said, in whatever disease you're trying to treat. From there, it evolves into a drug lead and animal trials, and hopefully in the long run into clinical trials with human participants. The toxins can be replicated in the lab, meaning samples are not needed from the venom-producing animals every time. Exenatide, an FDA-approved drug used to treat type 2 diabetes, for example, comes from the venom of the Gila monster and is synthetically reproduced. Taxic said his latest research includes potential targets for Parkinson's disease, cancer, and gene therapy. Where have we heard that before? Gene therapy. Weren't you called a conspiracy theorist for suggesting vaccines were gene therapy? Gene therapy was written about in 2020. CNN. Next section, looking to nature, and we're wrapping up, by the way. Almost done. Even before the coronavirus pandemic, the search for new sources to become drug therapies had taken on greater urgency with the rise of antibiotic-resistant superbugs, declared one of the top 10 global public health threats facing humanity by the World Health Organization. Researchers are increasingly turning to nature, including the fjords of the Norwegian Arctic, an ancient medieval natural remedy, and the dirt under your feet, for new bacteria to become antibiotics. Nature also inspired the Nobel Peace Prize winning Chinese scientist Tu Youyou, who was recognized for her work on a malaria therapy, inspired by ancient texts on herbal remedies in traditional Chinese medicine. She found that wormwood had been used to treat severe fever and extracted a substance called artemisinin, the basis for several malaria drugs. References to venom as medical treatments also go back hundreds, if not thousands of years. But it wasn't until 1981 that the first FDA-approved venom-derived medication hit the market, opening the door for a completely new class of medication, Taxic said. Captopril was also the first approved drug in a class known as angiotensin-converting enzyme inhibitors, which help relax blood vessels and lower blood pressure. In fact, ACE inhibitors are now used to treat tens of millions of patients worldwide, and captopril is widely prescribed for hypertension or high blood pressure. So you're ingesting snake venom when you take an ACE inhibitor. Its original source, the venom of the Brazilian pit viper, which causes a sudden drop in blood pressure in its prey. Sounds nutritious. Quote, toxins are good for so many different types of diseases because there are so many of them in nature, explains Taxic. We have 150,000 venomous species combined. They have 20 million toxins, and 99.9% of the 20 million toxins in nature are unexplored. It's that untapped potential that Taxic finds most promising, and that Nathan sees as critical for his cardiology patients, considering the current circumstances. I think the current pandemic that we're in with COVID-19 and all of the coagulation-associated abnormalities has underscored the need for cleaner and more targeted anticoagulants, Nathan said, and this is only going to continue in the future. So there's your future with prescription drugs, and past. Mind you, this has been going on for 40 years now? And they're just now telling us about it. Snake venom and prescription drugs. Have you ever felt like crap when taking prescription drugs? Have you ever felt like crap coming off of prescription drugs? Here's one reason. Snake venom contains the spike protein. What does the spike protein do? It strips your red blood cells of oxygen. Oxygen deprivation. Sounds lovely. Is that why everyone feels like complete crap? And why people get hit so hard get knocked on their butt so hard by COVID-19? Which turned out happened to be a bioweapon containing the spike protein. Oh, the treatment for it, more spike protein, which just happens to be also in snake venom, which strips the prey of oxygen. So you're suffocating to death, basically. When you're ingesting the spike protein, if it's in your system, you're suffocating. It's lovely. That's why the prey of these reptiles who get injected by the venom, this toxic venom, they suffocate. It's because they're being injected with the spike protein. Anyways, yeah, that's another contributor to chronic pain problems, among every other condition under the sun. And I can fix you, folks. If you're on 18 prescription drugs and you want to get off of them, homeostasis will fix that. Real easy, quick. Might be like hell coming off of them, but you'll live. I mean, you'll survive. This is what you need to do anyway. You need to get all out with the bad, out with all the bad, in with all the good, and you'll feel much better. I can show you how. Shoot me an email. Tell me about your health problems. cklein37@netzero.com. CKLEIN37@netzero. netzero.com. Put podcast in the title of your email, and we'll start to get you fixed up. Anyways, I'm running long again. This is the body mechanic, giving you the truth about your health, one episode at a time, one book at a time. Till next time, my friends, this is the body mechanic, signing off.